Welcome to Kickass Midlife Method podcast, and I'm joined by some women from the Kickass community and hopefully some people who are listening on to this podcast later on. And we're talking tonight about how to techniques at home or the gym to make sure that you're doing your exercises right, your workouts, and little just tips and tricks, particularly around progressive overload when you can't quite manage the full jump up in weight and ways you can get around that. So often, and I know someone on this call in particular, actually Kate Powell, who we've discussed this, if you're feeling pain or discomfort, or not seeing results in terms of your any muscles, it can often just be require a little bit of a tweak to ensure actually that you're engaging proper muscular engagement. It's often really easy to get around something, particularly in midlife when some of us have got real issues, carpal tunnel syndrome, frozen shoulder, tight pecs, rotator cuff, which is a really common thing in midlife. And all you have to do is change just a little tweak in how you're holding things. So first, we're going to go into the three weight moves that most women get wrong. So lunges in particular. So what tends to happen with your lunges is that you will get your knee rolling inwards, collapsing inwards. So when you're doing your lunges, I would really recommend that you face your camera, either put it on your phone or a mirror, and make sure that as you're doing your lunges, if I show you that way, that your knees don't roll in one way or the other. What that is indicating is just weak glute muscles, your glute med on the side of your legs. So you kind of really need to actually think about tracking straight with those. So that's number one. The other thing that often happens is that your back foot should be up on the toes and it should stay there. So say if you're just going up and down, your back foot should stay up. And what tends to happen is people rock backwards onto the heel from the toe to the heel. You stay up, right? And then the other thing is torso tipping forward. So what I might do is go through this and then towards the end, turn my laptop around and go through this. So often the other thing can be torso tipping forward. So what I'd recommend for that is that you take a broom, or in the gym, they often have like, there'll be a bar that you can hold on to, part of a frame. Just hold on to that and then do the lunge body weight and have your arm kind of track the bar. Or if you're holding a broom, the broom, so that you can't lean forward. You're meant to be making sure you're tucking your pelvis underneath you, and literally your torso should be in line with either the broom if you're using a broom, or if you're in the gym and there's a frame that you can use, that it kind of tracks up and down there, and that you don't lean forward. And then the other thing is balance. Now, when it comes to balance, it's like a number of things that's going on. Partly it's just proprioception, your body getting used to it, that neuromuscular response. Partly it's your glutes, they're not firing, so you're kind of wobbling around. And partly it's technique. So what you can imagine doing, try to imagine doing, is that you are pulling the floor away with so one foot, say if you're in a standing lunge, one foot's in front and one foot's behind. Imagine that you're trying to pull away with your feet, because then it kind of holds you steady. It makes you engage your muscles in your leg a little bit more, rather than you thinking, oh, I've just got to balance this a little bit. The other thing is your pelvis can be slightly misaligned. So some people will find it slightly easier if you imagine train tracks, and that your front foot is maybe on one side of the track and your back foot is on the other side of the track. So it's slightly wider rather than narrow. So rather than it be like balancing on a tightrope, you're thinking just of like train tracks. So that can really help. And as I say, I think if we've got time, I'll go and turn this laptop around, and we'll go through this. Um, oh, Jan's come out of the room. So kettlebell dead clean. Who has problems with this? Anyone have problems with the kettlebell clean? Just see if it's plank rotations. I can see. Aha, deadlifts, how to get in position, balance worse since menopause. That's interesting. I haven't heard that one before. Um, so yeah, we'll try those as well. So the clean is particularly the kettlebell clean. Like dumbbell clean tends to be easier when you take it from the floor. And what happens with a lot of people, often the kettlebell's too light. So therefore, when you're coming up with that kettlebell, so you're coming up with your legs and you're bringing it up to here, it's so light because you're stronger than you think that it's flying through the air and it comes through the air and lands and bangs. So if any of you have done the kettlebell, sometimes it literally is too light, and that's the problem. But you really got to think about shrugging it up and then just bringing it into your side. So again, I'm going to go through that after this. I'll turn the monitor around. So for those who've just joined, I have a little bit of a problem with my phone not charging. So I'm going to have to wait and then turn the whole laptop round to show you some stuff. I get this all the time. People saying, "Can I have more? Can I have more core work? I want to work my muscles in my stomach more, get a flatter tummy." Two things here. Firstly, you don't get rid of body fat and see your tummy muscles through exercise anyway. It's about your diet. And secondly, all of the compound lifts. So compound means it's an exercise that covers multiple muscles. So actually you're getting more money for your buck by doing a compound exercise, and they all work your core loads. So if you start being able to get a little bit lower to the floor in your push up, for instance, you'll feel your tummy more. Those people who are now on heavier chest presses, you should feel that in your tummy. You should start to feel that in your tummy, and you will start building muscles through the compound lifts, which are much more interesting than sitting on the floor doing boring crunches and actually have more of a functional impact. But what some people are failing to do because you're just thinking it's my legs I'm working, it's not engaging the core. So what I did want to go through is always thinking about bracing your core and thinking about that before you do any exercise. Every time you do an exercise, you should be doing this thing. So if you put your hands on your rib cage now, so all of you put your hands on your rib cage and then breathe in, and you'll feel your rib cage go up. As you exhale and it comes down, you should feel the rib cage go down and your tummy slightly tighten. Now do that again and see if you can do it without clenching your bum. Because what happens is you do that and then everyone goes like that. But if you breathe in and as you exhale, imagine you're drawing like a little zip down from the bottom of your rib cage to your hips. And you should start feeling your muscles engage. So every time you do any exercise, I want you to prepare before you start. So take a deep breath in. Say if you're lying on the floor doing about to do a dumbbell push, if you're on the machine in the gym, you're about to do either a squat, just take that deep breath in first, prime yourself, exhale, think about your ribs coming down, then do the exercise. And as you do the exertion, do that exhale again so that you're really thinking about, okay, I'm zipping the kind of rib cage and hips together. And that kind of engages a little bit. You don't need to pelvic tilt. You just need to think about that connection rib to hip. And the easiest way of doing it is exhaling because naturally your rib cage goes down, your diaphragm goes up, which is connected to your pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor comes up, but it is a little bit mind-body connection as well. If you're not used to doing it, you're just working, your legs or something, and you really want to be thinking, okay, I'm going to engage my core because that will make all the lifts easier. So yeah. And then we're going to go into the gym part of things, but actually this is also for people who are working from home and using dumbbells. It's the same thing, and kettlebells. So for instance, I was talking about Kate earlier, who had an issue with her shoulder. And so in the gym, I think you were doing a shoulder press, weren't you? In the gym, you've got the machine, and normally the handles can be like that. So if you're sitting at home, same thing, you've got your dumbbells, maybe you're sitting on your chair and you're doing a shoulder press. And then in the gym, they've also got handles go like that. So that's a neutral grip. And if you just all of you put your hands up like that now, so goalposts and engage like that, making sure that they're in line with your shoulders. I can kind of feel my shoulders working there. And then if you just turn them in, feel the difference. You feel the difference from there. into that internal rotation. So for instance, if you find that you have like a little bit of pain in your chest muscle, your pec or around your shoulders, if you just do a neutral grip, including if you're at home and you're doing chest presses, and do that way instead of that way, it'll make a massive difference. So it literally can be about the hold of how you hold things. So looking at this on dumbbells, free weights, neutral grip, for instance, it also changes the effect on your muscles. So say if you're doing a bicep curl, you can hold the dumbbells that way or that way, and it will completely change how the muscles work. And potentially, maybe you can't do them that way. So maybe you turn it that way. You're going to get biceps, but you're going to get a lot more of your forearms as well. So the way you hold something can completely change change whether you're feeling discomfort because potentially maybe you've just got some pain somewhere and you just can still work and you just change your grip and you won't feel the pain and you're not doing yourself any damage at all. It's just that you maybe have turned that external rotation to an internal rotation and it affects things. And then going on to the onto the barbells and machines in the gym, for instance, if you're doing lat pull down, so you can have a wide one, that will make it, some people might find that easier. You can do a narrow one, you can do your palms facing in. So all of those things when you're in the gym and you're like, oh, there's a difference between like feeling discomfort because actually it's hard and feeling discomfort because actually you've got some pain there and it's niggling. So, be careful not to be like, oh, Rachel, can I change this grip? Because actually I don't like it and it's really hard. But as opposed to, can I change this grip? Because actually I've got a little bit of a pain. But you can see there are so many different ways you can do it. So squat and deadlift, you can have like one palm over the top and one palm under. We can get onto those kind of things a little bit more on the retreats I do, where we can use barbells and stuff. Once we're lifting heavy enough for us to be thinking, particularly in barbells, about one hand over, one hand under. But just to say that when you go into the gym or you're at home, the way you hold that. Oh, and one other thing actually that I really want to point out that I used to see a lot when I was training people in person is kettlebells overhead, dumbbells overhead. What can happen is people do this. So I really want you to think, look at your hand, including if you're lying on the floor. If you've got a weight hanging off the back of your palm like that, off your arm, I want you to be thinking about keeping that wrist straight. People do it all the time. I see men in the gym doing it too, and you're just holding all of that in your wrist joint. So make sure that you've got that position. Whether you're going overhead, what can happen is it gets heavier and people start doing this, hanging off the back, chest presses, all of that. So try and keep that uh, wrist straight when you do things like that. And then squat tips. So again, in the gym or at home, we've been through this before with some people who came to the last retreat and another call. If you have got very tight ankles, it's normally a tight ankle or tight hips. This is a beautiful squat right down there. Who can do a squat like that? One for two, without. One for two, one for yes, two for no. No. Some people probably can do in here. Let's see, anyone? Uh, what did I say? Was that two was a no? Oh, I'm assuming two was a no because everyone said two. Yeah. Yeah, it's really difficult, We're a bit older. Our joints have been through a lot more stuff. So the way to get down is you elevate your heels. So if you're at home, you can use books, make sure they're hardback books, and you can just put them under your heels. In the gym, you can just get a weight plate and put it down. And if you get lower, then what you're doing is you're actually getting into your glutes more. If you're not getting down too low, you're tending to work out your quads. And our quads are pretty, because of the angle of our hips, get quite tight. And actually, what we really want to do is work this posterior chain. So anything where we can get down a little bit lower. So if I would give that a go. At home, you can get foam squat wedges, which are really inexpensive and are really comfortable to use. So I use them because my ankles from running so much yeah, I've just got no mobility to get down. So it just enables you to position yourself correctly, get down a little bit lower to recruit more glute and posterior chain. Posterior chain, I mean basically anything on the back is called posterior chain. Anything on the front is called anterior chain. And then this micro loading. I had to change the picture because AI brought out this picture that looked a bit like microdosing. Very funny, funny. So you can get these plates in the gym. Sometimes you can find these plates. If you're at home, you can buy them. They're relatively inexpensive, and they just clip on. So say someone had a question for me, a Saloni, I think actually, was at the gym and like going from, particularly when you're on the leg machine, and the leg machines tend not to go up in, small bits. They often go up in like 10K, 20K, and sometimes it can be seem too much of a jump. So what you can do is get these little plates and you just literally put them on the weight stack if you're at the gym. So look around the gym or ask at the gym because sometimes I'll have them and you literally just rather than if you're used to all of you, if you imagine those stack plates and you take the pin out and you put the pin in, sometimes you can't quite lift the next one, but it's too light, the one you're on, and then you might find these little things around and you just pop it on top of the plate stack and it gives you like 2K instead of another like 10K on stuff. Um, and if at home, I mean, I think most of you are at home by the sounds of it, are really needing bigger weights anyway. So I don't think there's a problem at the moment between needing these small little plates. Um, and then, yeah, so the next thing is on, because we're going, for many of you, we're going into the next phase of your training. You're on week one, some of you. We will be, all of us, no matter where you are, will be doing a test week next week. So everyone's test weeks will come back together. So people who started a couple of weeks ago will join those people who've been doing it for a while, and there'll be another test week. So this, I don't want you to do this on test week, but afterwards, I've had lots of comments about I can't, I can do the first set at 12, then I'm going to the next set and I can do that, but then the next set I can only get to about 4. So what you want to do with that is do a drop set, which means you immediately drop your weight back down to what it was, and then you continue for as many reps as possible until you fatigue. So rather than as many reps to 12, you keep going until you literally cannot push another one and you have no rest. So say you did 12 at 40 kilos. The next one was 12 or 8 at 45 kilos. And the next one was like 4 at that weight. Then you drop the weight, go back to the last one and carry on for as many reps as possible. But you still record the the third set of the higher weight and the number of reps you did. So you still keep that. So you have that as an idea that when you go to the next week, so say the next week you managed 5 at that stronger weight and before you had to drop set it. So it just enables you to actually keep building that strength rather than stopping. And then the other thing about as we start training smarter, for people who run, you might be familiar with recovery training. Often with running, you'll do a 4-week block or a 3-week block, and then you'll drop a week. This is now what we're doing in strength training, which is very difficult for sometimes women to get their head around because many of us grew up thinking, like, the harder I work, the more results I'm going to get. Like, I'll just build more muscle up. I just keep going and push it harder and harder, and I do more in the gym. And it's not like that. You've got to have a recovery week for your body to recover, to adapt to the stress you've put it under. So actually, you're recovered also mentally, not just physically, for you to push again. Because otherwise, you're just constantly pushing and you'll fatigue, you'll get fed up. So that's why this week, for most of you, unless I've told you differently, potentially if you've had a couple of holidays or something, then you're doing a deload week where you're doing the same exercises that's on your program, but a kind of six out of 10 effort. So you're mobilizing the body, still keeping the body going, but you're not pushing it for overload. That comes next week when we do another test week. And of course, recovery training is about your sleep hygiene, it's about your nutrition, it's about your stretching, about your breath work. All of that is really important. It's not just a nice thing to have. It should be seen by you guys as important as your strength training and as important as your nutrition. It's like absolutely as an integral part of it, and we'll see you getting results as much as doing this stuff. So that's why these deload weeks, you're going to see them every 6 weeks because they are really important. Oh, that's what I was just saying. Yeah. So planned reduction in volume, also reduced injury risk as well. So yeah, think about it as future proofing your strength. Yeah, and that is an interesting question. Who has ever taken a week off without feeling guilty? Like three, if you've been like, oh yeah, no, I feel fine. I never feel guilty. And four, if when you take time off, you actually think, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? And start panicking about it. Yeah, yeah, always. Yeah. So the beauty of it is now I'm telling you to. So you should hopefully feel like get a sense of like security that someone's telling you, a coach is telling you to take time out and to enjoy that time out because I will be getting you to push more. So it's much more structured, the training, so that you actually will get the benefits of that rest, so that mentally you're ready for the next push. Physically, you actually have the strength to do it because you're not tired. And you won't be injured and crash out of training because you can't do it. So yeah,